Today's video, we are going to write an exponential equation given 2 points. So that's your learning target for today. Write an exponential equation given 2 points where one of them is the y-intercept and you're given another point. And so again, this is an exponential equation where a is equal to the y-intercept, also known as the starting value or initial value, and b is the multiplier. So can you see how given the y-intercept, it'll make our lives a bit easier because you can just plug it in for a. So if you're given 2 points where one of them is the y-intercept, it makes our lives easier. So here are the steps to writing an exponential equation given the y-intercept. If you would like to write this in your notebooks, the first step is to plug in the y-intercept for a. The y-intercept has 0 for x. And so whatever number is here is actually going to be your a. Your second step is to then plug in the x and y values from the second given point. So you might be given something like this. Okay, these are your x and y values. Once you do that, you're going to solve for b. And then your last step is to plug in the a and b that you found back into y is equal to ab to the x. So let's start our first example. Let's write an equation of an exponential line passing through the points 0, 3, and 4, 2, 43. So step 1, plug in the y-intercept for a. 0, oops, let me get my highlighter up. 0 is our y-intercept. So y is equal to, or 0 is where our y-intercept is, sorry. So we actually want to plug in 3 for a. Okay, that is what we have so far. We plugged in our y-intercept value in for a. Step 2 is to plug in the x and y values from the second given point. So y is 243, which I'm going to put on my left side. And I have 3 times b to the x, which is 4. My third step is to begin solving for b. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite my equation over here, 3b to the 4th. Oops. So what is the first step to isolating b? I am going to divide both sides by 3 since this is being multiplied. And then the 3 is reduced to 1, and I'm left with 243 divided by 3. I'm going to try that in my calculator, and I actually do get 81 is equal to b to the 4th power. How do we undo a power? A root undoes a power undoes a root. And so in order to get rid of this 4th power, I need to 4th root both sides. And when I 4th root a base to the 4th exponent, these actually cross cancel, and I'm left with the 4th root of 81 is equal to b. Now the 4th root of 81, I'm going to put in my calculator, and make sure you are comfortable as well doing this type of math in your calculator. And you should have gotten that b is equal to 3. Please make sure you put this in your calculator, pause this video, and make sure you get the 3 value, because putting this in your calculator can be tricky. And so b is equal to 3. So check that out. I now have, well, I always had my a. I just figured out my b. I can now plug it into my y is equal to ab to the x form. And I'm left with y is equal to a, 3, times b, 3 to the x power. And that is my equation. Go ahead and pause this video, review it, think about it before moving on to the next one. Example number 2. We're given the points 3, 5 and 0, 40. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and start trying this out on your own. So the first step is to plug in the y-intercept for A. My y-intercept is here, so 40 is going to be my A value. Second step, I want to plug in my x and y from the second given point. So it looks like 5 is my y, A is 40 from before. I don't know what B is, but I know x is 3. So that is my equation so far. My next step is going to be to solve for B. So let's go ahead and begin that. To get B by itself, since it's being multiplied with 40, I want to go ahead and divide both sides by 40. That is going to reduce that to 1. And I'm left with 5 divided by 40, which reduces to 1/8 is equal to B cubed. To undo this cube, I need to cube root it. So I'm going to cube root both sides. When I cube root a cube, it cancels. And I'm left with the cube root of 1/8 is equal to B. Now, here's a little side note. Let me change colors. If you want to manually reduce this or reduce this by hand, the cube root of 1/8 is the same thing as the cube root of 1 over the cube root of 8. The cube root of 1 is just 1. The cube root of 8 is 2. So B is 1/2. Or again, go ahead and try it in your calculators. If you cube root 1/8, you should be getting that B is equal to 1/2. Try that in your calculators. Otherwise, the last step is to plug in your A that you were given, your B that you had to solve for, to the x power. And let's remind ourselves, when you have a B as a fraction, your equation would look something like this, right? And our y-intercept would be here at 40. Just as a little review of the graphing that we did earlier in this chapter. Let's try example 3 right here. So it looks like you were given a y-intercept and another point. So the first step is to plug the y-intercept in for A. I've got y is equal to A times B to the x power. I now need to plug in the x and y values that I was given from my second point. So it looks like 8192 is my y value, 2 is A, B I don't know since I need to solve for it, and I'm going to plug in x is equal to 12. So now I need to solve, for my B value as my third step. 8192 is equal to 2 times B to the 12th power. The first step in getting B by itself is divide both sides by 2. And that will reduce this to 1. 8192 divided by 2 is equal to 4096 is equal to B to the 12th. Now to undo that exponent, I need to do a root. So because it's to the 12th exponent, I'm going to root this by 12. And if you put this into your calculators, you will get that B is equal to, in my calculator, I'm putting 12 root of 4096, and I get that the answer is 2. So I now have my final equation. Y is equal to A times B, we want to plug into, to the x power. Now, if you're having trouble finding this button on your calculator, the way it looks on mine is I have a square root button, but above it, actually for me, it's above the little caret. It looks like an X and then a square root. Yours might have a y in it. Okay, so when I need to do something like a 12th root, what I have to do is put 12 in my calculator first, then I press the button that does this, and then I plug in my number and I hit enter. And when I plug that in my calculator, that's how I get the 2. Hopefully that helps. Otherwise, I know you can probably just Google or YouTube your specific calculator on how to plug them in. So that is it for this lesson. I hope it was helpful.